Oh yeah, we have a phone interview.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking to Chris Epting on the phone, but I'm not really sure if we're supposed to call him or how's that going.
We're supposed to call him.
Okay.
And Bill, did we call him?
Yeah, we're gonna call him up right now.
We're calling him up right now.
All right, so
it's Phil and Bri are gonna relax. We're gonna talk to Chris Epting, and he is the author of Roadside Baseball. You may have seen him a little bit here and there on the World Series. He did some cool stuff from pointing out some sites from his book. You definitely recognize him if you were watching the coverage. He's got a lot of great sites around the country to talk about from his book, so we're going to be giving him a little bit of a get a little info on that, right?
Totally.
So I'm not really.
We are ready for the phone call.
Ready for the phone call? Yeah. You know what? Me and Michael are going to switch up spots here real quick.
All right. All right, and to get this phone to work, I just have to pick it up and hit speaker, correct?
Yep, pick it up, hit speaker.
No, don't pick anything up, just press line 1.
Oh.
Press line 1.
That's the one that says 1.
1. I usually do the numbers.
Are we working here?
Is the speaker, press speaker, it should be lit up.
Yeah, I think we're good. Chris?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Everybody welcome Chris Epting. Yay!
Wow.
You like that? That was
That's
good.
awesome. Is this Jim?
This is Mike.
Mike, how you doing?
But it's, yeah, great. Great. We have a live studio audience here.
So that's real. Those are actual people.
As far as we can tell.
Yeah. Yep, I mean, they're available for birthday, like whatever you need them for.
I have a book signing next week. I'm willing to fly that specific group out here to Huntington Beach, California for like 2 days. If they're...
Wow, look at you guys.
Let's do it. It's like Oprah. Such a great audience.
So,
they're really a good crew.
It's like Oprah here.
They're extra cheers. Yeah, they're extra cheers.
So Chris, as Tanya said, you might have seen him on the World Series. He did some spots on that. And he has a new book called Hello, It's Me, Dispatches from a Pop Culture Junkie. And he also has one of my favorite baseball books of all time, Roadside Baseball. So Chris is here to talk a little bit about...
And Mike, I want to thank you too, because you wrote me a long time ago about that, and you were very... I know you know your baseball stuff, but you were very enthusiastic about Roadside, which meant a lot to me, because that was the book I wanted to write when I was a kid. So it's like, whenever you do something as an adult that you've got to do as a kid, it's like a really big deal. So I want to acknowledge Mike right there for stepping up to the plate early on his like of Roadside Baseball.
Wow, should I get another applause, Britt? I feel...
Yeah!
Wow. Well, thanks. It's a book that I would want to write as a child, too. I mean, it's... I'm a total nerd when it comes to locations and stuff like that. So your book I've probably read 1,000,000 times, plus your other books. So the great thing about Roadside Baseball is everybody knows about Fenway Park. Everybody knows it exists. Everybody's been there. Everybody's bought the $8 beers and sat in the small seats. But there's many other baseball locations, especially around the city, that are just huge as far as the history of baseball goes.
Absolutely. I went to college in Boston, actually, at Emerson College, and... You know, I would go to Fenway as much as I could, even though I was a New York City baseball fan. Fenway is still my favorite standing park in the country. I love it there. And I would go wander, you know, because like, to your point, if, you know, Boston's, you know, a great walking city, and there is tons of baseball history just a few blocks from that sacred park there.
Yeah, and I think, well, one of the ones is the statue, the Cy Young statue.
Yeah, have you been there before over at Northeastern?
I have.
Yeah, that's a great spot. That's over where Huntington Avenue grounds used to be, and that was obviously the first World Series of the modern era, kind of modern era, when Cy Young pitched back in, what was it, 1903, I think?
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, and so what's cool about with Northeastern is that they actually acknowledge it. It's not always the case when you get a baseball landmark, and they've got the statue there, and then that very cool home plate marker, which is there as well. So I think, you know, again, we all want the ballparks to remain, but if they can't be there, I think with what Northeastern did, it's a pretty good, you know, pretty good substitute if you want to go there and kind of be in the moment a little bit and think about what it might have been like then. And then, of course, South End grounds would have backed in pretty much, you know, about only 2 blocks from that, and there's a small mark over there as well. So as far as cities go, Boston, you know, does a pretty good job of marking its baseball history, and again, those are 2 kind of, you know, great, really old-time parks that people don't know that much about. There aren't many pictures of or anything, but, you know, Cy Young played there, John McGraw. There are some great kind of dead ball legends that roamed those areas way back when.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I've been there, of course, with your book, like just like a nerd, just like just.
Well, listen, man, we're all kind of baseball nerds with this, and that's okay. I think that's fine.
All right, fair enough.
You don't do it with hockey. Like, how many hockey fans, go and say, well, Gordie Howe. I mean, I like hockey, but no other sport has baseball people that do this sort of thing, that go and get into this much minutia, and we'll actually care. I remember the first time I had a buddy who went to BU. He played football there, and it was Nickerson Field where the team played, and the Patriots used to play there, of course. But I remember in college he wasn't aware back in the early '80s that had been Braves Field, and that's another great baseball landmark there, where the Braves played, obviously, for a few years back in the '40s. And if you go there, you've been over there, right? I have,
and the great thing about it is that facade that you see when you go down down by the arena, or what is now an arena. It looks like it did back in the day, that front facade.
Yeah, there are traces there, and again, the ticket booth is still there, and part of the team office, and they've got a good marker there. So again, I think that the university did a good job there of acknowledging, understanding. Now, true, it's groups like SABR and sort of baseball nerds like, Mike and I here that kind of push these buttons to get people to do it. I'm not sure the schools and all would do it if it wasn't somebody lighting a fire, but at least they give a green light to it and they allow it to happen, which is important in the process as well. Because there are people all over the country. There's a guy, when Roadside Baseball first came out, it actually inspired him to have a whole series of markers laid in the Midwest to players who were from there. And in fact, I co-dedicated the new edition of the book to him, because he lived it and breathed it. I mean, this guy, you talk about walking the walk. This guy went out and raised all this money and had, I think, like 12 markers.
Wow.
Fred Merkel, all these old dead ball. He's a dead ball era guy. Wow. And he got so kind of obsessed with the idea that he went out and made it happen. So it's obviously a lot of fans sort of, propel these projects, but places like the colleges have got to play ball with it, so to speak. So it's, it's definitely a team effort.
Wow, that's, and before we go any further, I have to say your next book, can you dedicate it to me? I mean,
thinking of it now, you've actually,
I have no money, but
stripes on this, man. You've been so diligent with making this happen and following it up. There may be a place for you on that forward page, all right?
Wow.
Oh, yes. I think that would probably make... you should see the grin on his face. I wish this wasn't just a phone interview, Chris.
How many people are in the crew right there?
I would say in
there's
our
about
audience?
60 people in the audience.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
Stop
there is.
it.
It's about
how many bodies are in the room?
Probably, I would say 20, 25.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Not bad, right?
They're a loud crowd, right? They sound pretty good.
I think it's amazing. They sound better than some of the Angel crowds out here.
Yes.
I think that goes without saying, Chris. And before we let you go, I just one of your more fascinating locations in the book, as far as baseball landmarks go, is the hotel room with the Black Sox.
That's one of my favorites. And what's fascinating about it, it's the Buckminster Hotel right there in Kenmore Square, 645 Beacon Street. And that was where, as you mentioned, the 1919 Black Sox got together and hatched the scheme to throw the series. It was all done in this suite that's up there. And what's sort of extra cool about that site is that was also, when Babe Ruth was a Red Sox, that was where he lived. That was his apartment. So the very room at the Buckminsters. So that's what's interesting about it, is that room not only holds the Black Sox, but a couple of years before, that was Babe Ruth's crash pad before he bought the farm out in Sudbury, Massachusetts. So it's actually kind of a double, roadside baseball hit there.
Wow.
It's kind of fun. And it's literally, I mean, again, if you go to that room, it looks out on Fenway, so it's very scenic and very interesting. And that's a very historic hotel as well. It's got a lot of great Boston culture. There used to be a famous jazz club in the bottom of it where, like, Duke Ellington would play and all this. So when I was in college in the 80s, there was actually a little bar downstairs called Storyville, where we'd go see sort of, various rock and roll people who would come through then. So it's got a lot of good culture in there. But again, I can't think of another site in the book that has kind of that double fix for you, where it's got that, obviously infamous Black Sox angle, but then the fact that I'm a Babe Ruth guy. I love reading anything about Babe Ruth. So when I went up there and stayed there, I could not get that thought out of my head that was the Babe's place for a couple of years.
There you go. Well, I just want to thank you for calling in.
Well, listen, it's my pleasure. I want to listen, like I said, you've been great with this.
Thanks.
So what I'd like to do is get me like a head count there, okay?
Okay.
Who's in the room and who's on the team, and I will have, for Michael's squad, some signed copies of Roadside Baseball sent off.
Whoa.
Wow, yeah!
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Wow. That is.
It sounds like we have a wave happening.
That is awesome. Well, before I let you go, I just want to make sure I get this right. The new book's called Hello, It's Me. Dispatches
That's a whole different thing. That's my book about life, and there's like crazy celebrity stories. I've had a very bizarre life when it comes to run-ins with people, ranging from Mick Jagger to Alfred Hitchcock to Curtis Granderson and everything in between. So yeah, that's brand new, and that's really a fun kind of road trippy, excursion through life that you might like.
Awesome.
And again, but there's a lot of anything I do. There's always kind of baseball woven in on some level.
Nice. Well,
Mike, we'll send him a copy of the show too.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and I think Amazon.com, is that appropriate?
Oh yeah, Amazon's the best because they've got it for like $11 or something like that. It's funny, you work on something and it represents your life's work, right? Starting from when you're a teenager up until now, and you look at it and Amazon sells it for $11. Great, it's like your life squeezed into a book. But hey, it's better for the reader, and yeah, I think Amazon, that's how I get most of my books today. I think it's a great way to get books.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling, Chris.
Thank you so much,
appreciate it.
Chris.
My pleasure. Again, do me a favor, follow up, get me a list of names, and we'll make this happen, all right, so I can personalize these things.
I will do that, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Thanks,
Great to talk
Chris.
to you. That was Chris Epting, everybody. He is amazing. Make sure you check out all those books we told you about, and maybe you should come be in the audience, because apparently we've got this Oprah thing where people get free gifts and stuff, so
You
just
get a book.
saying.
And you get a book.
What?
You get a book.
You get a book, and you get a book, yeah, so that's cool. That's that was an unexpected fun. Well, anyway, if you tuned in last week, you saw that previously Mike is, well, he likes to tout his athletic skills. And what he did was he played a basketball game against our about 6'10" friend, former basketball player in college. The score was 11-0, well, not in favor of Michael. But we have a little treat for you. Is it was after the fact. Mike couldn't really accept the defeat, so they decided to play a round of horse.
Horse.
Yep. You know the game. That you get an H, and once you hit horse, you're over. So what we have to treat you to is a little look at how that game went, and hopefully you'll get a little kick out of it. So check out the latest in Mike's epic battle for basketball glory. So we'll have roll that, Kev.
You got it.
Thank you.
Previously on the Wicked Awesome Sports Show.
All right. This is what I say. Horse, first one to E wins. And we'll tie this series up.
I guess we do have round 2 right now.
All right. What? What? This is going to be H.
You gotta make your free throws.
I usually hit about 90 out of 100. See, he keeps his nose.
I'll give you a letter back if you want it.
All right.
I see something else.
All right. Wow. I'm still in it, baby.
Come on.
All day, baby.
Dude, I can't get enough of that.
What do we got here?
I lost.
You lost. That's right, you lost. I twisted this muscle right here during cheerleading. This thigh muscle. It's been aggravated ever since. We both weren't playing 100%. So, you know. Well, so much for needing the court.